So how much do lawyers actually make? If you don't know me, hi, my name is Jules. I'm a lawyer, and today we're going to be talking about how much lawyers actually make. And I'm making this video because so many people ask me whether it is still worth it for them to go to law school. And my response is always, it's a personal decision. What's worth it for you might not be worth it for somebody else. But today I just wanted to give you some information on the salaries you can expect if you enter the legal profession, so you can determine for yourself if the juice is worth the squeeze. Now, I would like to note some caveats to this discussion. I'm a lawyer. I'm licensed in Ontario, which is in Canada. So the talk of salary is really going to be localized to this province, specifically the Toronto market. And on top of that, today we're going to be discussing private practice legal salaries. And it's hard to talk about legal salaries without talking about the cost that it even takes to be eligible for those salaries, namely the cost of law school. So this video is going to have two parts. First, we're going to briefly talk about the cost of law school in Ontario, and then we're going to talk salaries. So let's dive into it, starting with part one of the video. How much does it cost to go to law school to be a lawyer? And the answer to that question is a lot of money, regardless of the law school you go to in Ontario. I went to law school at the University of Toronto Faculty of Law, and that law school is notoriously the most expensive law school in Canada. And when I was at U of T, the tuition on average for all 3 years was $33,000 per year. And that's just tuition. That doesn't account for cost of living or textbooks or anything like that. So I'm just gonna run through some of the tuition prices of Ontario law schools just to give you an idea. For the year that you're applying, it'll be more accurate, if you look up the tuition of that year. If you're applying next year, it's likely that the tuition will go up a little bit, but these are the tuition prices for different law schools in Ontario for last year. So U of T comes in at the top at $33,000. Okay. Thank you. Osgoode is 24,800, so almost 25,000. Queens is 21,000. Western 21,000. Windsor 21,000. Ottawa 17,500. So Ottawa is actually the cheapest of Ontario law schools. Lincoln Alexander at TMU is 22, and Lakehead is 21,700. So if we were to add it up for all 3 years, U of T tuition comes in at $99,120, so almost $100K for the law degree. At all the other schools, I won't run through each calculation, but they range between $52,000 and $74,000. So for all 3 years, you can expect to pay that much. If you are paying for your tuition on a student line of credit, which most people do in law school, you are also accruing interest on the amount that you have borrowed. So if you borrow $33,000 in 1 year, you are also, paying interest on that amount, which will continue to accrue until you pay it off. So that's another thing to keep into consideration, because that could be another $5,000, $10,000 throughout the course of your 3 years. So it costs a lot to become a lawyer. Not only are you paying for your tuition, your cost of living during law school, you're also losing income, because if you weren't in school, you would otherwise presumably be working and earning income. So law school is really double dipping. She's putting you low and then lower because of this. So that's something to consider when thinking about salaries. So that's just a little bit of info on tuition. If you guys want a video on a fulsome, comprehensive tuition breakdown for each school, I can look into different financing options. I can look into different financial aid and bursary that these schools have. If that would be helpful to you, just let me know in the comments, and that can be my next video. Now that we've touched on the cost of law school and becoming a lawyer, let's move on to talk about legal salaries, specifically salaries relating to private practice at big firms. When do you start earning this salary? It depends. You can start earning firm salary as early on as in your 1L summer, so that is the summer in between your first year and second year of law school. Some firms hire summer students starting in 1L. However, not a lot of firms do this, and these jobs are ultra competitive. It is very difficult to get one of these jobs, and you shouldn't really bank on getting one of these jobs because there are so few and they are so competitive. But some people do start working at a firm then. Most people start working at a firm in their 2L summer, so the summer between second and third year of law school. And when you're looking to work in private practice, the hope is that you get a job in your 2L summer, and then usually the firm will hire you back on to article after you're finished law school. So just to briefly talk about the money you could expect in your summers and articling, usually the summer associate pay is your articling pay prorated. So, you know, you only work 4 months of the summer, so the articling salary is prorated for that duration. When I was working, my articling salary was $91,000, but this was a long time ago now. It has gone up since then. My understanding is that the articling salary for big full-service firms in downtown Toronto ranges from $90,000 to $120,000. I'm making this video to really more focus on associate salary pay. If you guys want more information on student salaries, student job interviews, articling, all that stuff, I can also make a video on that. Just let me know. And now moving on to the juicy part of the video. What's the tea? How much do lawyers make? Am I gonna be rich? Well, so for me going into private practice, you know, I didn't have any lawyers in the family. I was, you know, the first one. I thought when I got my U of T law degree, you know, the Harvard of the North, I thought I was gonna be rich. I was gonna be a millionaire. And for few, that will happen, but for many, it will not. And I didn't know that. I was like, what the heck? I thought I was gonna be able to retire very early because I was gonna be a millionaire. I was gonna be rich. No, that is not the case, unfortunately. I know there's a big buildup to this, but before we get into the actual numerical values of the salaries, I just want to say that these jobs, number one, they're very competitive. So many extremely qualified candidates go through the recruit and they're unsuccessful. Not a reflection on them or their aptitude. These jobs, they are just hard to get. If you can get the job is hard to do. It is a very difficult job. Law firms are not just paying you the salary for no reason. They are paying you the salary for you to be available to them. When you are a young associate, you can't do that much. So what they are paying you the salary for is really your availability. You are expected to be available, and often you are working around the clock. So these salaries, when I tell you them, they are not for a 9-to-5 job. There were times when I was pulling back-to-back all-nighters, and I was constantly stressed. And that could be a personal situation. Maybe you wouldn't be as stressed as I was, but I was often very stressed, tired. So for these salaries, the law firms, they really make you earn it, okay? Remember that. So finally, it's tea time. How much do associates at these law firms, how much do they actually make? Well, at the big law firms, okay, so there's probably, I don't know, 15 of these law firms downtown, so keep that in mind. This is not every single law firm. And there was actually just a recent increase in salary. This literally just happened at the beginning of this month, March 2025. So first year associate at a big law firm. So you've articled, you've passed the bar, you're called to the bar, you're a full-fledged lawyer. Your incoming salary as that first year associate, what is it? It used to be $120,000, $130,000. Now it's sitting $130,000, $135,000. So $135,000. Not bad. But again, you really have to work for it, okay? Like, you are not just getting that for no reason. They make you earn it, okay? I just want to really stress that point. As my dad says, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and at the law firms, you are not eating for free, okay? They are not even giving you a drop of water for free. Now, you finished your first year, you survived, you made it. Second year, what can you expect? $150,000. Third year, $175,000. Fourth year, $195,000. Fifth year, $215,000. Sixth year, $235,000. Seventh year, $255,000. And on top of these salaries, most law firms have some kind of bonus structure. Usually this is kind of status quo on Bay Street. If you hit your billable hours, usually you are entitled to a 20% bonus. So 20% of your base salary will be your bonus. And if you're working at a big firm, it is very manageable to pay back your law school debt. But just to give you an idea of what that would look like, if your law school debt is $100,000, so say you went to U of T, you just paid tuition only, $100,000, interest at prime, so 4.95%. Why am I acting like I did this calculation in my head? I didn't. I went to ChatGPT. If your student line of credit has a prime interest rate, you're paying down $3,000 a month, which is a lot, but if you're making $135,000, your after-tax take-home is $8,500. So if you're paying down $3,000 a month, you still have $5,500 left over for rent and other living expenses. So if you're making that $3,000 per month payment, you will pay off your loan in 36 months. And during that time, you will pay $7,800 in interest. Say you have a bigger student line of credit, say you went to U of T Law and you had living expenses, say your loan is at $130,000, which would be tuition plus 10-year cost of living expense per year, which is low, honestly, for Toronto. I don't know who could live on 10 grand a year, but just for the sake of the calculation, if you had the same interest rate, you're paying down $3,000 a month again, you will pay off the loan in 3 years, 8 months, so 44 months. It's not great. Probably can't get a house at the same time, and there is some variance in salary among the different big law firms. So the salaries that I told you, they may not completely reflect the salary of the firm that you end up working at. That is just, the range that you could expect. And again, I just want to stress the fact that these jobs are extremely demanding. When you work these jobs, your employer has a high degree of control over you and what you do with your time. So just keep that in mind. For me, I don't know, I feel like I had such a skewed perception of salary because when I was working in private practice, I was earning a good salary, but I was really earning it, And my husband at the time, I mentioned this in my last video, he was working at a startup, he was a software engineer. He was working 9 to 5 and he was making more than me. And I was like, there must be a better way to make money, because I truly was consumed by my job. I was like, why am I thinking about transfer pricing rules? I did tax in the shower. Like, can I not have any break? Like, I was all consumed by it. And again, that might just be like a personal thing. You might be able to have better work boundaries, but I just couldn't. Yeah, that's why if you know me from TikTok, I really hustled on TikTok because I was like, I gotta get out. When I was working, I literally was like, well, what else can I do? I need a side hustle because I can't do this forever. I looked into drop shipping, selling canvas bags on Etsy, selling journals on Amazon Books. At the time, TikTok was like kind of new and all these people were blowing up and I was like, oh my God, this is my golden ticket. I was working in private practice. I knew it was not sustainable for me. There was no way I could work those hours for the duration of my career. I couldn't handle the stress. I didn't want to. I was like, why am I gonna live life like this? Absolutely not. It's so finite. Here today, gone tomorrow. Thinking about transfer pricing, don't think so. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we try to be a TikToker? And that's what we did. And here we are now trying to be a YouTuber. And I hope this video was helpful. I have a special place in my heart for students, aspiring law students, people in law school, because it's such a hard time. There's so much uncertainty. You don't really know what's going on, especially if you have no lawyers in the family. It's stressful. Nobody really understands unless you're in it. So I want to make these videos just to kind of help you, give you more information on the profession. If you have any more questions, I'm more than happy to make more videos to try to answer them. And in terms of my channel and the content you can expect, I post weekly now. I'm alternating between, there's gonna be like one law video one week and then one more like lifestyle video the next week, and then go back and forth. Maybe I'll ramp it up to 2 videos a week. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Yeah, so I hope this video was helpful and I'll see you guys next time.